Hey everybody, it's Patrick from the Mast Store Knife Shop coming to you with another review, and today it's one of my fun things to do. I'm doing a knife comparison. You can see right away I'm starting with the Benchmade Redoubt, and it's going to go up against what we consider one of the forgotten knives, and that is the Gerber Sedulo. And a lot of times in the store, someone will say, like, that's really nice, that Redoubt. What else you got that's similar? And this guy gets overlooked a lot. And I think if you stick around and watch, you're going to see some features of this knife that outshine the Redoubt by a mile. And we get to the price point, you're going to go like, what the heck? So hang with me on this. It's going to be a fun comparison. The boxes are pretty basic. It's just a nice square box for Gerber with a little warranty information inside. Benchmade, very traditional. You've got their warranty information with a nice little pouch to put your knife in if you like to, and a little warranty information there. Let's jump into the knives. This will be the fun part. And we're going to do them side by side, going down all the comparison for all the different features. First and foremost, you guys know these are EDCs, or you should know these are EDCs. They're not necessarily used for hunting so much and fishing, more blue collar work, and you can still carry them when you're hiking and camping. Both these knives fit that bill. Both these knives you can see are very similar in shape. It really, the people online were talking that this, when they put this out in May of 2023, they were really trying to mirror the Griptilian from Benchmade and really kind of show you that they can put out the same quality knife. At the time, they only put that out on their website, so it didn't get as much views as possible or purchasing. So now it's out there available, and it's got some cool features. If you look at the locking system, this of course has the axis lock, which is very traditional. Pull it back, close it down. Very super smooth axis lock. Well, you know, they lost their patent on the design of the axis lock, not the name, but the design. So everybody's got their own version. These guys came up with what's called the pivot lock system. It's the same thing, and it's just as smooth, just as tight. They just wanted to mirror what Benchmade was doing because they're considered one of the best EDCs out there to purchase. So the locking system is the same. Of course, you can see there's no flippers on these guys. It's all thumb studs, right? And it's super smooth on the flick. So I like that. That tells you the pivot systems are well done. Very similar so far. You're seeing that, right? Now, speaking of pivots, let's take a look. Traditionally for Benchmade, they've got bronze washers. They work great. You can see this just by everybody that owns a Benchmade knows that flicking it open and close, it's super, super smooth. Well, Gerber decided to step outside the box on this one, and I got to tell you, big kudos to them, because instead of giving you the bronze washers, they actually have brass bushings that are press fit into the tang of the blade. You think, well, how's that going to affect things? You can see it still open and closes smooth. But suppose you need to take this apart and clean it up a little bit. And it's always a kind of a chore, especially if you have this type of locking system. So you'd have to end up taking off the clip, you take out the pivot screw, you take off the scales, then you can clean up the interior of the knife. How did they step out of the box? Because those brass bushing fit is into the tang, to clean this knife, you simply take out the pivot screws, slide out the pivot, and the blade slides right out without removing any of the scales. You clean the bushings, you clean the blade, you go inside with a little Q-tip and clean the inside, slide the blade back inside, put your pivot screws back in, and you're back in business. There's no removing the scales or the clip or anything else. The blade slides right out and slides right back in. So to me, that's a game changer. Anybody that uses their knives a lot and ends up cleaning stuff, you know, when you take the scales off, there's always that chance something's going to go flying, and you might or might not find that piece. So kudos to Gerber for changing the pivot style to something a little more useful, a little more thoughtful. On the handle material, again, very similar. Grivery as usual. You notice it. Take a quick look in there. You can see that it's really rough. That's to keep it from non-slip. You can see that milling right there, and it's really kind of sharp almost, but it's still what it's for. The downside of this is with your clip. Over time, you slide that back in and out of your pocket, it's gonna start fraying the inside of your pocket. So something to consider. These guys did something different. So they wanted to up their game. So they started with the pivot, and now on this side, where the clip is, it's going to be hard to see. I don't know if we can see it. I don't think we can, but you'll take my word for it. Right where the pressure point is, underneath there, even though this has still got that milling that's just really tight, just like theirs, this has been smoothed out. So as you slide into the pressure point, it does not have the rough stuff. It has a smooth area when you're doing that. There was a downside. They didn't do it for the left side. So considering that both of these have reversible clips, right side, left side, and we can fix those for you if you're in the shop. We'll switch it over to a lefty side if you want. It's a brilliant idea, though, to make sure your pant pocket doesn't get frayed over time from sliding in and out, as it will with this Redoubt. Their clip is also deep pocket. It's a little different design. It's simply you unscrew this screw and push out this pin that's on the other side, and then just flip it around, and put everything back together. So it's still there, but it's not too bulky screws like a lot of the clip systems are. As far as the shape of the blade, these are both drop point blades with a flat grind. You'll notice a little extra grind on top. For the Redoubt, for the Sedulo, it is simply a straight up flat grind with a nice little drop point there. Really nice look to it. I like the form of this because it's got a nice one sweep look to it. And of course, the handle down here. Now both of them have some jimping. This one's a little extended. It's from here all the way back to here. So that's all jimping, really, really aggressive. You're not going to slip off. It has a pretty nice finger stop there. You're not going to slip off there. You take a look at the Redoubt. This guy has another jimping right there on your thumb, and you'll see the nice little finger stop there. So again, you're not slipping off the knife onto the blade. Really thoughtful because we have plenty of knives in our shop that don't have these nice finger stops and maybe some weak jimping. These guys both, because they're blue collar style knives, have that covered. Blade coatings on this one is going to be DLC, and there's no blade coating in this. It's just a stone wash satin finish. Steel taps on these were kind of really differs, and we're going to get into the steel with the steel chart in a second. CPM D2, these guys up their game. S30V. Right away, I'm seeing a better steel, and we'll get into that with the steel chart. Lanyard holes, we always cover that. It does have a nice lanyard hole right there, as typical for the Redoubt. You can see that. This one looks like there's no lanyard hole, but there is. Right there. It comes out back there. So you can feed your piece of leather strap right through there, pull it through, make some nice snake knots on there, and go maybe a titanium bead and give it a little flavor. That's kind of cool. So they both have lanyard holes. I just feel like these guys have really upped their game with the new pivot style, with S30V, with thinking even so much as the clip having the smooth part to not tear up your pocket. They really were jumping ahead and saying, we can fix some things that are not really thought about when it comes to the Redoubt. Now, don't get on me if you're a Benchmade fan. We still love Benchmade. I've got 4 myself. But this is often the forgotten knife, and we forget it in our shop ourselves once in a while. And then we'll go like, hey, don't forget the Sedulo. And the person gets to check out something else and say, yeah, I do like this knife a little bit better. Don't forget the specs, pricing, and links to purchase are in the description. So if you decide you want to get one of these, you jump right on and take care of that. In the comments later, I really want you to tell me if you own this one or if you've even heard of this one, and tell me how you like the comparison and maybe which one you would buy. Let's take a look at the specs on them. They're very similar. As you can see, there's a size difference, and we'll go ahead and see what that is. First, we go with the Redoubt. From the tip to heel for this guy is going to be 8¼ inches, and that's pretty nice size, pretty typical. And then for the Sedulo, a little bit smaller. I'll put them side by side. You can see that. It's a shorter one. It's 7 7/8 inches, so you're losing a little length there. Again, if you need the length, you know to go to Redoubt. If you don't need the length, this is just the perfect size for you. As far as blade length, 3½ inches working edge from the sharpening choil over to the tip. And for the Sedulo, you're going to get 3 3/8 working edge. So pretty similar. Plenty of steel to work with. Weight-wise, this is going to be a little heavier just because it's a bigger knife. It's 3.72 ounces. And this one comes in at 3.6 ounces. So you lose a little bit, but it's a little bit smaller knife. If you do have big bear paw hands, you know this is probably going to be a little bit small for you. But I think overall, this is really, really a great knife to compare up to this guy for your purchasing purposes. Let's take a look at the steels. This guy comes with the D2. This guy comes in with S30V. And we'll look at the steel chart and see how they match up. And so take a look here. We know we got edge retention. We have toughness, and we have corrosion resistance. So we'll do some comparisons. We're going to start with D2 right here. So this is for the Benchmade Redoubt. Really nice edge retention there. Kind of medium on the toughness and medium on the corrosion resistance. It's still great balance all the way through that blade, and that's what they're looking to go for with your Redoubt. Benchmade always tries to give you good balance on your steel choices. But as I said, Gerber upped their game. They said, we're going S30V. S30V is here. So you got better edge retention right there. You've got matching toughness right there. And then corrosion resistance, way better when it comes to the S30V. So Gerber's saying, hey, we'll give you better steel comparatively because they are trying to match up with what Benchmade's doing and give you something comparable that has really cool and new features to it. So once again, it's weird that this has been such a forgotten knife with so many great features. Last but not least is the shocking point that really surprises most people when we show them in the knife shop. This comes in at very reasonable $200. I think that's really great for this knife. I'm a blue collar guy. I work on homes. I do carpentry. I would take this on a job site in a heartbeat. So it's really a good working knife. Comes in at $200. This guy comes in with all the new features and the great steel, the new pivot style, $125. So if that's not shocking to you, I don't know what you're thinking, but $75 difference in this knife to me is a game changer. I would take this on a job site also and probably get a better feel for it on the job site. I still love both knives, and I'm sure you guys are big Benchmade fans. You'll love the Redoubt. Give me some feedback, and if you hadn't heard of the Sedulo, let me know what you think about it, especially that new pivot system and the fact that they really wanted to up their game and kind of compete with Benchmade in a couple areas. They've been known for a while for really not putting out some great knives. They kind of lost, a lot of people lost faith in Gerber. They were not choosing good steels, good designs. Their fit and finish was not great. We've got some of their stuff in our knife shop, and we know this. When they started putting out knives like this, we knew that they were paying attention to the customers and trying to change their game. So 200, 125, I'm thinking, to me, that's a no-brainer. Well, that will do it for our comparison with the Benchmade Redoubt and the Gerber Sedulo. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. I hope this information was helpful. Before you go, you hit that like button, and be sure to subscribe to our channel. And if you ring that bell, we'll make sure you get notified every time we drop a new video. That's it for today. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you next time.